Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Making an Impact. I'm your host, Simply Sensational Billy James. Okay, what an Impact Wrestling we had this past Wednesday night. We had a Knockouts title match. We also found out who will be the #1 contender to Bobby Lashley's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We also determined a new #1 contender to the TNA X Division title, currently held by Samoa Joe, and much more. So we're going to break it down. We're going to get all to it. We had a debut. We had, like I said, two #1 contender matches, and we had a surprise champion versus champion match. So we got it all tonight, and like I said, I'm going to break it down. Pretty damn good Impact Wrestling. I want to apologize for the past two shows. There's been some technical difficulties with the audio. If you've watched, you've noticed that the audio is out of sync with the video, which is called lip sync. It's like watching one of those bad Japanese dub movies. So please forgive me for that, okay? My editing software has been giving me some problems. I'm hoping that I've got the problems resolved. So we're going to find out whether or not that is the case. In case you didn't know, I currently record the show using my Samsung Galaxy tablet. So I may have to go to another recording. I'm hoping to next year improve things where it'll be even better, and we'll have the show in HD. So I'm hoping on that, but I don't have anything set in stone yet. Okay, so please bear with me with the technical difficulties. I am trying to get them fixed. Okay, so with further ado, let's get started. First match of the night is a Knockouts match for the TNA Knockouts title. Taryn Terrell, the #1 contender, challenging the current champion Gail Kim for the title. Good match. A really good match. They started out with a lot of near falls between Gail and Taryn, going back and forth. And at one point, Gail hit a nice her Karana on Taryn. Gail went for the cross body splash in the ring corner. Taryn sidestepped it, and that caused Gail to go to the outside of the ring, and they fought heavily on the outside of the ring, and Gail hits a net breaker on Taryn Terrell while they're both on the steel steps. I mean, it was like a holy shit moment. It had to hurt. It really had to hurt. So we had this going back and forth still. Gail went for eat defeat. Taryn kicked out of it. Gail tried to go for eat defeat again, but Taryn hits the cutter. She goes for a 1-2-3. Gail kicks out. So this goes for a little bit. Taryn goes for a cross body off the top rope. She hits it. However, Gail rolls through it and is able to roll Taryn up for the 1-2-3. Gail retains the TNA Knockouts title. After the match, both competitors are weary and bruised after a tense match. They shake each other's hand, and the music hits, and we get the debut of Havoc. Havoc comes in the ring, easily destroys both Gail and Taryn. I don't know what her finishing move was, but it was devastating. In case you didn't know, Havoc is better known on the independent circuit as Jessica Havoc. From what I've heard, she's pretty damn good. So I think this is a great addition to the Knockouts division. It's unique. She's fresh. I think TNA is going to be a good fit for her. Her look is not what typically the WWE goes for. So I think being in TNA is going to be good for Havoc. Don't be surprised if you see Gail drop the TNA Knockouts title to Havoc, but I hope they don't do it right off the bat. I want to see a good match between them before Gail drops the belt. I think Taryn really deserves a title run. She has improved by leaps and bounds, but I don't know if they're going to give her if they'll ever put the title on her. But I honestly do feel that Taryn deserves to be the TNA Knockouts champion. But it's just a matter of time to see if they do it. So, if you missed the match, I highly recommend you go and watch it, because this was a good match. I mean, the fans were chanting during this match, better than Divas. Better than Divas. And I guarantee you it's better than that god-awful 6-diva tag team match they had on Monday Night Raw. Okay? Trust me. I know my women's wrestling. This was a much better match. Okay? Okay, next match of the night saw Samuel Shaw and Gunner tag teaming together to take on the tag team of Bram and Magnus. Something weird before this match happened. They were in the back talking, Gunner and Samuel Shaw, and who was standing behind the scenes staring and looking at Samuel Shaw? Brittany, of all people, TNA Knockout Brittany. Are they going to do something new with Brittany and possibly involve her with Samuel Shaw? That's going to be interesting to see. I think the Madison Rayne Brittany feud is over. I think it could have went a little longer, but for whatever reason, TNA's decided to drop it. So that feud appears to be over. Okay. So anyway, match itself started out with Samuel Shaw in the ring. He had a nice arm bar on Magnus, and Magnus was able to scoop him up. They went back and forth for a little bit before Gunner tagged himself in, took down Magnus with an running elbow, but he was able to catch Magnus off guard with a nice kick, and then tagged in Bram. Bram started trying to ram Gunner's head into the turnbuckle, which Gunner shook it off and hit himself and fired back with some nice headbutts, and but Bram came back with some blows, and then Samuel Shaw tags himself in and tries to check on Gunner, who pushes him away. This allowed Magnus to suplex Shaw and then hit a nice power slam. He tries to go for another one. Shaw is able to float over, clotheslines him, and then he was able to make the hot tag to Gunner. Gunner comes in, hits a few clotheslines, follows it up with a splash and a slingshot suplex. Shades of Tully Blanchard, the one of the 4 horsemen. Yes, Tully Blanchard, one of the greats, by the way. But that's a whole different story. Gunner punches Magnus a couple of times, and he goes for a springboard off the ropes. Bram sidesteps him. Gunner tweaks his knee, and of course Bram turns and sweeps his legs, slamming him to the mat for the 1-2-3, with Shaw flipping out over the condition of Gunner, who tries to tell him, "Dude, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." So it looks like now they're going with the Samuel Shaw is overprotective of Gunner. And who knows, that's going to maybe lead to a split between the two. They're going to feud. Who knows? I think TNA's going, 360 on this. They don't know what direction they're going. It would be nice if they just go 180, but it's like, it's part of my hands, but it looks like this, and it's like, come on, make up your mind, guys. I mean, it keeps you on your toes, keeps you wondering what the hell is going to happen next, but, they need to get a solid storyline in place with Samuel Shaw. By the way, Samuel Shaw, I give him credit. He's took this character and he's ran with it, and I think he grabbed that ball and he's ran with it, and he's done a great job with it. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a feud between Gunner and Samuel Shaw. I would thought they were going to go with the Gunner versus Mr. Anderson feud, but it doesn't look like they're going to go that route. So we'll just have to wait and see. They're getting ready to start the new TV tapings for Impact Wrestling. I believe those start next week or the week after. So, and we'll see how that goes. So, anyway, I mean, this is not a match that you absolutely got to see, but if you want to check it out, go right ahead. But it's not one of those matches you have to see. I give it 2 stars, and that's probably being nice. It wasn't a terrible match at all, but it wasn't like great to stand out in your mind like the Knockouts match before it, which was awesome. And I give that match, by the way, I give that 3.5 stars. And also, I was talking about, I wasn't sure what Havoc's finishing move is. It's called the Demon Drop, so I apologize on that. So, anyway, let's move on and let's get on to the next segment. We had the number one contenders match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Eric Young versus Bobby Roode. You know, a couple of weeks ago we had the 6-sided steel match to determine the number one contender, which saw Bobby Roode and Eric Young escape the steel cage at the same time. This is the reason why we're having this match. Earlier in the show, MVP tried to stir the pot between Eric Young and Bobby Roode by telling Eric Young, hey, yeah, you were a part of Team Canada and everything, but you remember that Bobby Roode made you carry his bags and blah, blah, and yada, yada. And then he would say the same thing to to Bobby Roode. And nevertheless, we had one hell of a match that went back and forth. You know, it started, going slow, but there was this nice missile drop kick that Eric Young hit on Roode. That was real nice. But Roode was able to snap his arms across the rope. He went hit a atomic drop followed by a clothesline, and he also was able. He took Young out with a nice spine buster. It was really nice. He got 1, 2, 3 on that. They kind of went back and forth with several pin attempts. There was several attempts before Roode was able to block a black side, but then Eric Young hits him with a DDT and goes for the top rope elbow for another close fall and such. And Eric Young was, it was still a lot of back and forth. Eric Young tried to bridge out at one point, bridge out of a waist lock, but Roode hits him with the Roode bomb for the win. It was a great match. I mean, great action between the two. Personally, myself, I think it was the right choice. Bobby Roode hasn't been the TNA World Heavyweight Champion for quite a while. He still is the longest reigning TNA champion, and I think he deserves it. He's probably one of the top homegrown stars of TNA, and with the loss of AJ Styles, who was the biggest guy in TNA, I think this is time for Bobby Roode to shine and prove that he is one of the top guys in professional wrestling. And to beat Lashley is going to cement that even more. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen with this. When they're going to have the match, rumor is we may have it before Bound for Glory. We may have it at Bound for Glory. There's been talks of Bobby Lashley possibly dropping the title at these upcoming TV tapings. So, personally myself, I avoid spoilers. I hate spoilers. So, if you like spoilers, don't post it on my Facebook page because I hate spoilers. Okay, but Great match. You guys need to check it out. Bobby Roode wins with the Roode Bomb. They shake hands at the end of the match. It was a nice feel-good moment. Eric Young, what they're going to do with Eric Young, I don't know, but one hell of a match. Eric Young, one of the great performers, and it was great to see a nice, clean match between these two. So, if you missed it, check it out. This is a must-see match. I give this match 3 3/4 stars. So that's where we stand there on that match. Okay, we had a six-man contenders match for the TNA X Division title that saw Tirge Uno, Crazy Steve, oh yeah, DJ Z, aka Zima Ion, Manik, Homicide, and Loki. Pretty good match. With the X Division matches, it's mostly you're going to see some spot fests in there. These guys were hitting, finishing moves left and right. Started out with Loki and Uno. Loki went for a clothesline, he missed. Uno knocked him down and went for a pinfall, but everybody came in trying to break it up. Loki chopped Ion, and then Manik and Ion, DJ Z, get into it before Homicide hits DJ Z with a nice belly-to-belly soup throw. Crazy Steve, of course, tags himself in, and then it just goes. He tries rolling up. Excuse me, I'm just distracted. I have to keep an eye on messages from work, so please bear with me. That's the reason why I'm kind of glancing over. Anyway. He rolls him up, and then they come off trying to hit the ropes to go for moves toward each other, but they collide in mid-air, and then Loki comes in and whips Manik into, and mule kicks him into the turnbuckles. Homicide comes in, but Uno drop kicks him out of the ring, and then Ion drops him. DJ Z, excuse me, drops him out with a backbreaker before Manik drop kicks him. Homicide is back in. He back drops Steve out, Crazy Steve to the outside. Then Homicide throws Loki to the outside of the ring. Okay, it really breaks down here. It's just Manik and Homicide in the ring. Homicide tries to go for the Gringo Killer. Manik's able to block it, kicks him in the face, and then he dives off the ropes. But then Homicide hits a diving cutter and then is able to hit the Gringo Killer. And now Homicide is the #1 contender to the X Division title. So down the road, we're going to see Homicide versus Samoa Joe. I think that is going to be a great match. I'm glad they kind of didn't go with Loki again. I think it's nice to have a new #1 contender. You know, we only got 6 guys. They need to bring in some fresher talent. Hello, Sunday Dutch is one guy you could bring back. Who's another guy? You could put Eric Young in the mix. That would be interesting. I think Robbie E would be a nice X Division champion. So there's some choices out there. It's just TNA's got to decide what they want to do. Of course, you got the great Sonata, but for right now, it's interesting. I don't want to see Austin Aries again for the X Division title. I think it's time that Austin Aries stays in the main event picture, and I don't want to see him muddling down in the X Division. Even though he is a great X Division star, he's got more ability, and he deserves to be pushed as a main eventer, in my opinion. But anyway, look forward to Homicide versus Samoa Joe. It's going to happen when, I don't know. Probably most likely at these next TV tapings. If I had to speculate, Samoa Joe's going to keep the title. I don't see who they could have him drop the title to and be legit. Homicide or Loki would probably be the closest to, in my opinion. I just can't see Joe dropping the title to TJZ, aka Zima Ion, or Tirge Uno. Tirge Uno is a wild factor. Manik, I don't see it happening. Or Crazy Steve. I definitely do not want to see Crazy Steve as the X Division champion. At first, the menagerie ideal looked kind of cool, and then I think the menagerie gimmick has ran its course, and it needs to be slow. It just needs to be put out of its misery. So Crazy Steve, unless he gets a total makeover and new gimmick, he doesn't do anything for me. I definitely do not want to see him as X Division champion. So anyway, when is it going to happen? Homicide versus Samoa Joe? Don't know, but it's going to be a good match. I guarantee you that. Let's move on. After that six-man X Division number one contenders match, James Storm and the Great Sonata came down the ring, and they grabbed Manik, who was completely out, and they dragged him to the back. So after the commercial break, we came back. Austin Aries came down to the ring and basically called out James Storm and Sonata. He was pissed about losing his match last week, being sprayed with the green mist. And he basically let James Storm have it. Well, first when James Storms came out, he corrected Aries, saying this is the Great Sonata. He's going to be, under my tutelage, he's going to be the greatest export ever to come out of Japan, the best wrestler ever from Japan, and that he's going to lead Manik to the promised land like he's led Sonata, because he's a living legend in TNA. Aries says, you know, you're throwing around the word greatness, but when these fans hear the word greatness, they think of the common denominator of greatness, me. He then goes on to berate Sonata for listening to James Storm, telling him he's pissed off everybody in Japan, and that because he's lost his way listening to Sonata. He also said he pissed off his country when he turned on the Great Muta, and now he's got a target on his back, and he knows someone else that's pissed off at Sonata. And then Tajiri comes out. Yes, Tajiri. Everybody remembers Tajiri from his WWE run. Probably one of the great Japanese wrestlers that come out, and he attacks Sonata with several kicks before Sonata and Storm retreats. So it looks like, and no, it's not looks, it's already been announced. Next week we're going to have the greatest man that ever lived, the common denominator of greatness, Austin Aries, teaming up with Tajiri to take on the Cowboy James Storm and the Great Sonata. This is going to be a good match. I'm glad to see Tajiri back. I like Tajiri. I always thought he was good. I got to see him wrestle once live several years ago, so I know he can go. So it's going to be interesting to see. Sonata Aries, I kind of like this feud between him and the Cowboy James Storm. And I know Great Sonata is involved. Now, speculation, but it could be now at Bound for Glory a six-man tag team match if you think about it. On one side, the Great Muta, Tajiri, Austin Aries versus Manik, the Great Sonata, and the Cowboy James Storm. Works for me. I'd like to see that. But definitely, I wouldn't mind seeing a 1-0 match between Austin Aries and the Cowboy James Storm. Which direction is TNA going to go? I have no idea, but this is going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Great segment. It was pretty funny when Aries says, yeah, I got a green tint. It's not because I'm a vegan, or I had a vegan burger, is because I got sprayed in the face with green mist. It was great. Austin Aries is probably one of the best on the mic in TNA. And he proves why he is the common denominator of greatness. I think WWE screwed the pooch when they didn't sign Aries when they had the chance. Austin Aries is, you can say what you want, but he is a main eventer, and he is a TNA homegrown. So, can't wait to see that match between next week between Aries and Tajiri taking on Storm and Sonata. So it's going to be good. We had a match, and this was a squash match in my mind. Rhino versus Rockstar Spud. Are you kidding me? Rockstar Spud? Okay, earlier in the show, Ethan Carter III came out talking about how he destroyed Rhino, and that he's planning to destroy everybody that that was involved with his aunt Dixie Carter going through the table, courtesy of Bully Ray. He demands for the immediate firing of Bully Ray, and he makes a long list of demands. Rhino tries to come out and attack EC3 and Rhino, but before he can do any real damage, Rockstar Spud is able to pull EC3 out of the ring, and that's when Rhino challenges him to a match. EC3 accepts, but says it will be against Rockstar Spud, and this shows Rockstar Spud getting nervous and concerned, and he tries to talk his way out of the match, but EC3 says either you're going to wrestle Rhino or you're out of a job. So, squash match. He got his ass kicked. At one point, he thought he was going to be big and bad and grab a steel can, but he got nailed with it by Rhino. Rhino gored him 1, 2, 3. I mean, it wasn't much of a match. This, I don't think they needed to do a match between the two, but I know it's trying to make EC3 look like a selfish asshole, and it did make the point. But I would rather them not have a match and wait and see another EC3 versus Rhino. Not a Rockstar Spud. I'm not a fan of Rockstar Spud. Don't know why TNA signed him. He's not wrestling in the X Division, which if he was going to do anything, that would be the closest thing that he would be qualified for. But even then, I just don't buy his character. I just don't buy him. And I find him boring. I find him bland. I find the outfits he wears just horrendous. It's horrendous. I mean, this guy dresses so bad, the late, great Joan Rivers would rip his ass 3 ways across Sunday and stick that suit up his ass. So, I just can't stand him. I can't stand the way he talks, the way he looks, the way he wrestles. If TNA need to get rid of some waste, that guy is the one who needs to go first. But hey, we know what TNA's going to do for right now. He ain't going anywhere. So anyway, you can skip this. You can skip this match. It ain't worth your time. I'm not even rating it. It was a squash match, pure and simple. So take it for what it's worth and just move on. This is a match you can skip. Definitely skip this match. We had champion versus champion, the TNA X Division champion Samoa Joe versus the TNA World Heavyweight champion Bobby Lashley. This came about at the beginning of the show where Lashley, MVP, and King came out with MVP running his mouth, talking about Lashley being the baddest man on the in the city, in the planet, in the ring, whatever, and he would yada yada yada, talking about how he's destroyed his opponents. out comes Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe talks about, hey, yeah, you've beaten guys and you're doing good, but you ain't the baddest man on the planet. You're looking at the baddest man on the planet, talking about himself, Samoa Joe. And then challenges Lashley. Well, we get Kenny King trying to sucker punch Joe, but Joe quickly counters. But it becomes a numbers game, and they beat the crap out of him before it's finally broken up. And Joe still insists on the challenge. Lashley accepts, and we get this match, a great match that started off. Joe, at the beginning of the match, caught Lashley with an unaguri slam before kicking him into the turnbuckles. Lashley reversed it and whip and tackled Joe in the corner, but Joe was able to catch him with the front choke before hitting a backsplash for a 2 count. Lashley came back with a nice springing power slam for a 2, but he couldn't get the win. He had that was Joe that caught him with a nice spinning slam for a 2 count, but then he went up to the top rope. Lashley punched him on the top of the turnbuckles, and then Lashley was able to hit run power slam and setting up a spear, but Joe kicked him in the ribs and applied the Tequila clutch. King ran into the ring, so Joe kicks him in the head. Lashley takes advantage of that, hits a full Nelson slam, and then hits a spear for the win. I don't understand why they have to have King interfere in this match. There was no need for it. Lashley has been doing great with no interference. There was no need for it. The only possible thing I can think of is they did not want Samoa Joe to look weak. But Samoa Joe didn't look weak in this match. Samoa Joe was on fire. Lashley was on fire. These two guys can go. And it was a champion versus champion match. Of course, the titles weren't on the line, but still. I think TNA really screwed the pooch on this by having King interfere. And speaking about King, when the fuck is King going to wrestle, okay? He could easily be X Division champion. He's been X Division champion, but he could do it again. And that's a guy who should be in the X Division, but I don't know what's going on. But, yes, catch this match. I give it 2.5 stars. It was a very damn good match. I wouldn't say it was an awesome match, but it was damn good. So you really got to check it out and stuff. So definitely check it out. Okay, but now we have Lashley to get ready to take on Bobby Roode, and Samoa Joe is going to be facing Homicide. So when we're going to have those matches, I don't know. Could it be at the first of the TV tapings? Could it be later in the TV tapings? I don't know. Like I said earlier in the show, I hate spoilers. So don't post spoilers on my Facebook page. Because no. Don't go for that. Okay? So definitely, I recommend catching this match. Yeah, definitely, in my mind, Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim are the stars of the night. Their match was freaking awesome. One of the probably a top contender for Knockouts match of the year, for sure, in my opinion. Okay, I thought that the tag team match between Samuel Shaw and Gunner versus Bram and Magnus was interesting. I kind of like the possessive thing that they're going to do with Samuel Shaw. It's interesting, but what the hell was what was up with Brittany being in the background, Google-eyeing Shaw? Where's that going? That's got my interest peaked. Going back to Gail Kim versus Taryn Terrell, we had the debut of Havoc, who was awesome. She was devastating. She came right in, kicked their ass. She hit the demon drop on Taryn Terrell, then turned around and hit a choke slam on Gail before picking Gail back up and hitting the demon drop on her. Great debut for Havoc. It's going to be interesting to see where they're going to go with Havoc, but I guarantee you're probably going to see her as your next TNA Knockouts champion. I like the confrontation between Austin Aries and Cowboy James Storm and the Great Sonata. Also, the return of Tajiri to U.S. Wrestling. Awesome. Tajiri. Can't wait to see that tag team match. Austin Aries and Tajiri taking on the Cowboy James Storm and the Great Sonata. So that is going to be freaking awesome. Pretty decently good X Division championship number one contenders match that saw Homicide become the new number one contender. I'm glad it's Homicide. Like Loki, I think Loki's great, but I think it's time to let's see someone else get a title shot. I guarantee you Loki is going to get a title shot against Samoa Joe again. Possibly, it could be very possible at Bound for Glory. Also, we had a backstage segment with the Bromans, and it turns out the Bromans knockout matchups, Dayton matchup. Jesse got Angelina Love, Robbie E, Velvet Sky. So it looks like they're going to do something between the beautiful people and the Bromans. Kind of interesting. I would have thought they would have went with Robbie E and Brooke because of their dating in real life. And in case you didn't know it, they also are going to be on this season's CBS's Amazing Race. They're racing in the Amazing Race. That's where they were during the summer, or early part of summer. That is airing at the end of the month, the season premiere. They have Robbie and Brooke listed as Dayton Pro Wrestlers. So it's going to be great. I'm rooting for them. So I like the Amazing Race. It's one of my favorite reality shows besides Survivor. So looking forward to that. Also, some great news for TNA. Ratings were up for this past Wednesday's Impact Wrestling, which is awesome, great. One thing that I think that may help them in their favor was that shitty, awful Monday Night Raw. Lots of people were pissed with that Raw. They hated it. So I bet it was a nice fresh air to see this Impact Wrestling. I'm sure there's some WWE haters out there that's going to hate on TNA, but I think this was a great Impact Wrestling, great ratings, and maybe, not saying it will, it's a miracle if it will happen, but maybe, just maybe, this will convince Spike TV, hey, maybe we need to keep TNA. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I think it's a great move for TNA to go to Wednesday nights, considering that football is going to be airing on Thursdays. And, there was that rumor about WWE SmackDown moving to Thursdays. Last I heard, that is nixed. It's staying on Fridays. But still, I think it's a good move for TNA to be on Wednesday nights. I hope I hope Spike TV has a change of heart. It looks like they may have no choice but to take the deal from Discovery's Velocity, and I hate to see what's going to happen with TNA. Unfortunately, right now, live house shows are on hold. That sucks because their house shows are awesome. Also, there's been several office departures. One in particular, and I hate that this guy is gone from TNA, and that's Jimmy J. Jimmy J is one of the was great at promoting the house shows. He got fans psyched up. He would come out before letting the fans in, especially the ones who purchased the ringside floor seats, because they got to come in an hour early for a meet and greet. He did an awesome job hyping the shows. He would hype the shows. He would talk about the merchandise that was going to be on sale, all the good deals. And Jimmy J would always, he always hooked me up with a VIP pass. I have to pay $50 for it, but he made sure that I could get one. So I hate that Jimmy J's gone. Hopefully TNA, if they can turn things around, they'll hire him back. He's a great guy. I really hate that he's gone. I hate that TNA is put house live event house shows on hold because they're so great and it's so nice to meet the wrestlers. I mean, I met everybody at the last show I went to, and it was awesome. You know, not to sound like a broken record, but Gail Kim, Eric Young, Gunner, Chris Sabin, EC3 Ethan Carter III, Magnus, who was at that time the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Bully Ray, Bobby Roode, the Cowboy James Storm, Samoa Joe, Madison Rayne, who was at that time the TNA Knockouts Champion, and the greatest man that ever lived, the common denominator of greatness, Austin Aries. So I'm glad I got to see TNA this year, but I hate that their own live events are on hold. So hopefully something will happen that things can get turned around. All right, that's it for this week's Impact Wrestling. Like I said, I want to apologize once again for the technical difficulties. I'm hoping we don't have any technical difficulties this week, but please bear with me. I'm working through trying to get equipment approved, and hopefully, you know, we'll get things resolved with my editing software. So please just bear with me. I appreciate you guys watching this YouTube show. It really means a lot to me. I'm passionate about wrestling. Let me plug a few things real quick. One thing I want to plug is my good buddy John P. Mayer. I want to plug his Blog Talk Radio show, Independent Point of View, where he looks at independent wrestling, especially in the New York scene. John is an avid supporter of Pro Wrestling Syndicate. Gotta check that out. Probably one of the best indie promotions out there. A lot of great stars. And John has much more, but he has a lot of he has a lot of independent talent on the show, and he covers a lot about Pro Wrestling Syndicate, who now has a YouTube show. So you really got to take a listen to what John has to say. He's got his thumb on the pulse of independent wrestling in the New York area. So you got to check that out. New York, Jersey area, so you got to check that out. Also, don't forget to check out Tuesday nights at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, the Wrestling Debate Blog Talk Radio Show. Yes, we have officially moved the Wrestling Debate to Blog Talk Radio. It's on the Nerdport Network, which you can also find an independent point of view. Myself, John P. Mayer, we talk about wrestling. We talk about, you know, what things we think, what's going on in wrestling, our opinions, what we didn't like, what we liked about things going on in WWE, TNA. So you gotta check it out, guys. And once again, thank you so much for watching this YouTube show. I really appreciate you guys' support. It really means a lot to me. I'm really passionate about wrestling. To my wife's dismay. She says I watch too much wrestling, and she might be right, but hey, it's my passion. I love it. I love wrestling, and I've always loved wrestling since I was a little kid. The days of the Four Horsemen. And when I talk about the Four Horsemen, I'm talking about the best version of the Four Horsemen. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, and Ric Flair, who ran roughshod over Jim Crockett's NWA promotion. Ric Flair was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Barry Windham was the United States Champion. And Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson were the World Tag Team Champions. And they run roughshod in Jim Crockett Promotions and Worldwide Wrestling, which aired every Saturday, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, and I would watch the 2 hours of it. I loved it. It was sad when it ended in 98, I believe is when it ended, and it was a sad day when that ended. So anyway, thank you guys. Catch me back next week. I'm trying to get these shows posted on Thursdays, but bear with me. It can be Fridays, so just bear with me, okay? Thank you guys. Catch you all next week. Peace.